What's going on, guys? So today I was trying to figure out something to talk about, anything. And I just happened to be scrolling on YouTube, and one of my favorite YouTubers, Mr. Tommy Sotomayor, had a really interesting discussion going on. Do women value sex more than men? And seeing as how Tommy and I have similar intellectual profiles and we both have knowledge in the field of psychology, considering the fact that we both have degrees in psychology, I thought this would be a really interesting video, and I chimed in to give my perspective. So Tommy Sotomayor and I had a dialogue, and I want you guys to check out where we disagreed and where we ultimately ended up agreeing despite some of the variables that we may have disagreed on, which was a fun dialogue. I love talking to Tommy. A lot of guys don't appreciate what he says, but I'm a realist just like he is. I'm in the same field as he is, and a lot of the stuff that he says is true whether you like it or not. So I'm gonna give a brief monologue, and then I'm gonna let you guys see the dialogue that Tommy and I had on do women value sex. So let's get into it. So do women value sex? You know, when you consider societal views and the way women try to abide and be ladies and present themselves in an honorable manner because they want to be wives, they want to be selected, they want to be picked, it's easy to lose sight of the fact that women are human beings and sex is a fundamental nature of human behavior. A lot of guys treat women like women don't like sex. And I'm here to tell you, women fucking love sex. Women value sex. If you want a woman to feel sexually attracted to you, you need to make it known that you're sexually attracted to her as well. Because while women do value sex, they may not initiate it as much. They may not be as straightforward or more straightforward about their sexual desires. We seek it more avidly. We respond more to visual stimuli than women do. We have higher sex drive due to higher levels of testosterone. We think about sex more. We dream about sex more according to the research and reports. Not by much, but we do. Now, where it gets tricky is sex for women is contextual. It depends on the circumstances. It depends on the situation. It depends on who it is with. See, men don't have the luxury of being able to select whenever they choose, unless you're a high status male such as Chris Brown or Tyga or Idris Elba. Those guys, they can get sex from any woman that they want to get sex from because of their status and their access to resources. But the average man doesn't have the ability to just have sex. So it seems that men place a higher value on sex because men don't get sex as easily as women do. But as you know, if you study psychology, you know the self-reports aren't that reliable because it's due to because people aren't objective and it's predicated on people's own interpretations of their experiences. And by virtue of their experiences being subjective, they aren't very concrete objectively of what actually might be going on. So when you step back and take a look at the way women operate, the way women proceed, how women put guys in friend zones and end up fucking another guy who they're attracted to that they may not even know, you start to realize that maybe women lie. Maybe women lie. Maybe looks do matter to women. You see, when it comes to mating, mating is the most primitive form that humans have connected. Mating is the way in which, before we developed language, before we developed being able to rationalize, before we developed the concept of platonic friends, men and women mated. That's how 7 billion of us got here. Just like in the animal kingdom and wild animals, the men tend to have cues of masculinity, fertility, good genes, fitness. The same concepts apply when applied to humans. That's why there are indicators of testosterone. That's why there are studies that show that men who look good tend to have indicators of testosterone. These men are sexually appealing to women. Sounds like he looks good. I would have sex with him because he looks good. Now, don't confuse that with the fact that I'm saying that's all that matters. I'm saying there's multiple variables that go into a woman's attraction to a man. But by the very fact that looks matter, and any woman who tell you that they doesn't is lying. Looks matter, especially when the guy doesn't have money. Looks really matter. Sex matters. Sex absolutely matters. But let's look at Tommy Sotomayor and I's discussion on women and do they value sex more than men. Check this out.
Suave Q, what's up, bro?
What's going on, bro? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Talk to you, boy.
Okay. Nice to talk to you again, Tommy. I had a couple things I wanted to say. First and foremost, I absolutely agree with a lot of the things that you were saying. It's just a couple points of contention that I wanted to kind of, go along the lines of and see exactly, hear you elaborate a little bit more on exactly why you said what you said.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of sex drive, for one thing. I do my behavioral psychology is what I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm big on the gender sex differences and things. And while you are correct, women do, the sex drive is absolutely in women. I just believe it's more contextual and more environmental than it is for men. So men are more just straightforward about what we want. And when I did a study here at my university where I actually assessed what women desire, I got over 500. I did a survey of over 500 women. They were just students here around campus, but to see what they place values on. And they had the nerve to place value on personality. Now, me and my professor did establish that women lie about.
I was about to say, that's one of the biggest.
Yeah, bro.
When we did studies like that in college, it was the same thing. We had to understand that the societal pressure for them to not be honest would skew any of our surveys. And I'm pretty sure, since you're in psychology just like I was, you factor that in, right?
Right. Correct. Yes,
right.
I absolutely did. And it was just interesting because me, myself, like I have a large following. I've seen it for myself. I have a large following on Instagram as well. And I fucked a lot of my followers. I had a girl come out from Cleveland who never met me before just to fuck me. And I had another one in New Jersey, like nobody's home. Come over to the crib or whatever. And I'm like, you don't even know me. So I've seen it. I know exactly how women operate. If you're attractive, you're in there. If they consider you attractive, you're in there. But it's more so for me, what's the percentage that you think in terms of how often they do it versus how often they don't? Because then when you factor in like a guy of your socioeconomic status, you rank higher than I do in your socioeconomic status. So you're going to experience women who are more open to things than I will. Because you have access to more resources and you're more popular and things of that nature, just by virtue of women being hypergamous. And the whole study of women date across and up on the hierarchy versus men make across and down. So I only get the experiences because certain women are attracted to me physically. So I understand that if I wasn't as attractive, I may not be able to get as many women as I've actually been with.
But hold on a minute. I'm gonna give you another thing too.
Okay.
I tell the story about what happened with me hanging out with the Detroit Pistons players because I was cool with Jerry Stackhouse. And so they were there and I was not a Pistons player, but because the girl thought I was a Pistons player, she did everything that I can imagine and she didn't know who the fuck I was. She just went home with me. So the thing is, a lot of what these people are seeking or looking at is based upon, okay, check this out. He seems powerful. And other people want him. You said you have a large following. That's all you need nowadays on Instagram to fuck a lot of chicks. And I'm not even trying to be funny. The cameraman. You know how many cameramen fuck a lot of chicks just because they have a camera and these chicks are looking to get their portfolio and they can't afford the cameras or the pictures, or they don't want to spend their own money on pictures, so they'll just fuck the cameraman.
Absolutely. Yep.
So this shows that women do have the ability to do. Women will have sex to get whatever they need. Women throughout history have had sex with men who are powerful. So if you have power, like right now, Bill Gates could say, I want to fuck 100 of the finest women and never call them back again. He can put out an ad for it and motherfuckers would come. Women who would make you. I watched a girl on 2 different websites On one website called Fling, talk about how she wanted to just fuck for the night. I saw that same bitch on a dating website saying how she don't do one night stands.
How she doesn't do one night stands?
Yes, she said, don't come at me with no one night stand. I'm not that kind of woman. But she was on Fling and had did all kind of shit. Then Fling is just a hookup site. So she was on both sites saying two different things.
Yeah, that's yeah, exactly. I mean, I agree with that because women too do have a tendency to tend to define themselves based on a certain standard, or they'll say, "I usually don't do this, but I'm going to make that exception for you." And I've lived that as well. I've experienced that as well. They always try to rationalize for why they engage and what they do, and at the end of the day, like, she don't consider looks. Yet she dated 3 guys and didn't really know them like that. And I said, well, what would you rank them on a scale of 1 to 10? And she said a 10. I said, so you didn't know them that well, but you ended up fucking them, and you only ranked them, and you ranked all of them 10s. How can looks not matter if you had no emotional attachment to them? But you know, exactly. So it's like, which one is it? Because you didn't know them, so you had nothing to bet, you had nothing to go off of. Yet you still slept with them, and you're telling me that they're 10s. So how don't looks matter? But what I will say is that I also agree with what Michi made the point. If a woman is fucking you consistently, because you know we gotta factor in the physiological component, you know, the neurological component of oxytocin. Women do have a tendency to produce a little bit more of that than men do, and as we know, that's the cuddle hormone or that women produce with pregnancy when they breastfeed and things like that. And that seems to be the catalyst for what gets women attached. Or
you know what makes women attached? I learned this. Not only is it scientific, but I learned it before I knew it scientifically. If you make a woman have a fucking orgasm, she might
orgasm. Yep, I was gonna say that. If you make a woman have an orgasm, that exponentially increases the amount of oxytocin they produce, and they're gonna keep wanting to orgasm from you over and over and over and over.
And because we typically reach orgasm, and here's where scientifically again, and the brother can tell me if I'm lying. Scientifically, when we have sex, we will come. So coming gets old to us because we know we're going to come. It's not shocking. But women, well, they don't come every time they fuck.
It's only like 33%.
33%. Look at you. The brother, listen, the brother did. I can tell this is a psychology student. He know the numbers before I say them. 33%. So at that moment, if you can make an individual who rarely has an orgasm, because most of the time, if a woman has sex, she just wasted her time. So she thinks more about it before doing it. Because she knows, well, if I'm just fucking the fuck, I better get something else out of it.
I won't get an orgasm.
But if you can give that woman an orgasm, she be like, oh, so she might not have been feeling you like that.
Let me keep going. Yep. She sure will. She sure will. She sure will. So if fellas, if and that's the thing, most men don't even know how to give women orgasms, and that's why it's such a bonus for women when they get a guy who gives them an orgasm. That's how you lose them when they cheat. You don't fuck her good. She end up cheating with a guy who fuck her good. He give her an orgasm, and now she out the door.
Right. She ain't cooking for you. She ain't cleaning for you. She leaving you notes in the morning. I won't be back till Thursday.
She ain't doing shit for you. Yeah, man. It's interesting. So I do believe women place, absolutely, I believe that women place just as much value on sex. I just think women are more selective with who they give it to based on the guy, because the guy has to appeal to them in a sense. If he isn't attractive, she like, okay, what else he got? And when you said women, what did you say? Women have said, if the study from Psychology Today, that if he looked like he was adept at having sex, that's just his attraction, you know, his physical fitness, his appearance, his masculinity. Men can look like they fuck good to women, and women will fuck you because
I've heard women say it. I've heard women. When the first time I heard a woman said, "You walk like you can fuck," I said, "What the fuck does that even mean?"
Does that mean? Yes, yes. I've had women say that to me as well, bro. I've had them tell me, "You look like you got good dick," and I'm like, "What does that mean? How do I look like I have good dick? You just look like you got good dick." So off of that alone, I start to realize, I'm like, if they can do this to me, they doing this with other men who look good as well.
Thank you.
So they doing it with other men as well, you know. So,
Yo,
but
man,
yeah, brother,
this has been an awesome conversation. I love to hear, and you got to go and understand the last two callers, Michi as well. These are people with with psychology backgrounds, so it's easy for them for us to have conversations about something based upon the facts
You're
and
right.
then research. Like, we don't just have the conversation; we like to know more about it because
Exactly.
because there is a way to find out a greater. Conversations are fun to have, but conversations without a basis to me is irritating.
Oh yes, it is absolutely for me too. I have a lot of women. I have a lot of people in general who love to try to contend my points that I make, and I'm like, I hate that you guys act like fucking psychologists. I said everybody wants to be a fucking psychologist, and none of you have psychology backgrounds. Your perspectives aren't even predicated on human nature, on fundamental principles of human nature. So how can you make a valid argument when you don't know what you're talking about to begin with? You have no education, you have no prior knowledge in this field at all, yet everyone wants to pretend like they know exactly what it is. And when I try to tell you, sir, that's not true, ma'am, that's not true, they think I'm the idiot. And it's annoying. It is absolutely annoying. But thank you for letting me on, brother. I appreciate the call. Wonderful show. You enjoy your day. Keep being blessed. Keep being safe, man. Appreciate the call.
Thank you so much.
You'll
And
find
God,
that the more you make a woman orgasm, the more she'll enjoy sex. And the more she'll enjoy sex, the more she'll want to have it. And the more she wants to have it, by virtue of wanting to have it so often, the more she values it. So I can't say that women don't value sex. It depends on where she's getting it, who she's having it with, and how good it is. Y'all ever turn down sex from a woman? I might have turned down sex from a woman all about 4 times in my entire life. You know? Might have turned down sex all about 4 times my entire life. But those 4 times that I did, she wasn't happy. She didn't like it. She didn't enjoy it. And anyone who values something isn't going to like when it's taken away from them. They value it. They don't want to lose it. They don't want the opportunity to miss out on having it. So you have to pay attention to what people do, not what they say. Because we can rationalize, we can lie. We often do. We lie to ourselves, we rationalize our behaviors. Many women worry about being sluts, being promiscuous, being shamed. And rightfully so, because men aren't drawn to promiscuous women. If we knew that women were promiscuous, we'd be less inclined to want that woman as a wife. And most women want to be wives. So it's ultimately not staining their resume with promiscuity in order to appeal more as a wife. But we know women value sex. Men who get a lot of sex from women know women value sex. And women like to be treated like they love sex. They like to pretend that they don't like it, but they love when you treat them like they do like it, like you know that they want it. How many guys out there can attest to that fact? Women will act like they don't like it, but they love it when you treat it like they do. Women love sex. Now, women may not place the value on sex to the degree that men do in terms of how often they want to get it from whoever. But when women are having it, even if they're having it with one guy, they value it. Couples reportedly have shown, study after study, that they last longer when sexual satisfaction is present, when they are sexually satisfied. If women didn't value sex, sex wouldn't need to happen in order for relationships to last longer and be healthier. But they indeed do. Because women do value sex. And any man who's attractive to the general population of women or who's rich and famous will tell you just how much women love having sex.